Hello and welcome to all. In previous session, we have discussed about the Newton's law of motion, in which we have learned about the basic definition of force and type of force. The first one is contact force, which I have discussed in last lecture. Example of contact forces are frictional force, normal or reaction force, spring force. These are the examples of contact forces in which the force is acted between two bodies when they are in physical contact with each other. Now, today we will discuss about the second type of force known as non-contact forces. Non-contact forces. It is a force which acted between two bodies when they are not in physical contact. If two bodies not in physical contact, or direct contact, then the force acted between these non-contacting bodies are known as non-contact force. This is known as non-contact force. The most suitable example of non-contact force is gravitational force. Every object in the universe, due to its mass, there is always exist a attractive force between two bodies. If these two bodies having mass m1 and m2, then there is always a force acted between these two bodies. This force is known as gravitational force. This is a non-contact type force in which there is no physical contact between these two bodies 1 and 2. Second example of non-contacting force is force of attraction due to earth on any object present on earth is known as force of gravity, which is acted towards the center of earth always. If an object is placed on this horizontal surface and the mass of the object is m, then force of gravity is acted towards downward always, and the value of force of gravity will be mass into acceleration due to gravity g. This is the weight of the object which is always acted in downward direction or towards the center of the earth. Next example is two like charges repel each other and unlike charges attract each other. In all these cases, there is no physical contact between two bodies is required. Next, another example is two like magnetic poles, that is north and south. These are two magnetic poles. This is a bar magnet. One magnetic pole is north and another magnetic pole is south. If another bar magnet which is placed nearer to the previous one, if similar poles are in vicinity, then these two bar magnets repels each other. And if there is another bar magnet having non-similar polarity, then these two bar magnets attract each other, and these two bar magnets having similar pole near, then these two bar repel and dissimilar or non-similar poles attract each other. This is similar as two like charges, that is if two charges plus and plus or minus and minus placed nearby, then these two charges repel. In these two conditions there is a repulsive force acted between plus and minus. If one is plus and another is minus, that is unlike charges, then these charges attract each other. There is a attraction force acted between these two charges and there is a repulsion force acted between similar charges. Now we have to understand general characteristics of non-contact forces. The first characteristics is the gravitational force and force of gravity. These two forces are always of an attractive nature. There is no repulsive forces in this category, gravitational force and force of gravity. But the electrostatic force and magnetic force can be either attractive or repulsive. These two forces, electrostatics and magnetic forces, can be either attractive or repulsive. Electrostatic force are those forces which acted between two charges. Suppose these two charges, if the two charges are like charges, that is these are positive or these two charges are negative, then there is always a repulsive forces between these two charges, and here is also a repulsive forces between these two charges. But if one is positive and another one is negative, there is attractive forces between these two charges. Similarly, in magnetic force, if if the like poles are nearer, then there is repulsive forces acted between the pole, and if unlike poles are nearer to each other, then there is always a attractive forces acting between the poles, dissimilar poles. Force acted between two charges, similar or dissimilar, or like or unlike charges. The force is known as electrostatic force. This is the first condition, and the second characteristics of non-contacting force is the magnitude of non-contacting forces on two bodies varies inversely as the square of the distance of separation between them. It represents that if two bodies A and B are separated at a distance r, then force between these two bodies is inversely proportional to the square of this separation, r square, which is represented here. F is directly proportional to 1 by r square. With the help of this equation or this relation, we can understand that as r increases, F decreases, because F is inversely proportional to r. As r decreases, F increases. This is a relation between the distance of separation between two objects and forces acted between them. Now we will discuss about Newton's law of motion. Sir Isaac Newton gives or derive three fundamental law in physics which is related to motion of the object and known as Newton's law of motion. The first one is first law of motion, Newton's first law of motion. First law of motion, it is related with the definition of force. Second one is second law of motion. This is related with the equation of force. And third is third law of motion. With the third law of motion, we can understand between action and reaction forces between two bodies. As from the definition of force, we know that force is an external agent which can change or try to change the position or a state of the object, that is a state of uniform velocity or rest condition, and its shape and size of the object is known as force. In next lecture, we will discuss about these three Newton's law of motion one by one, and understand the application of these three laws of motion. Thank you.